Welcome to Keto Beyond the Couch, episode 325.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Joe.
And we are
two crazy ketos. Welcome back to the channel.
Hi.
325 episodes.
I am so thankful for Keto Beyond the Couch. I'm so thankful for you guys. Thank you for sharing your day with us. We're late this morning, but scheduled late because we just finished up our drive from Indiana back home to Florida, and it has been days and days of just straight up driving.
Yeah.
And so we decided last night that we would make one more stop in Georgia. I like to be smart. In our old age, I'm starting to get the message that stress is not helpful. And if you can make something less stressful for yourself, why not do that thing?
Let us know down in the comment section. Make sure that the audio and everything is coming through.
Sorry about my hair.
But yeah, Rachel and I were talking as we were coming in that, in years past, like, I was always like, go, 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 go. I mean, I would always, like, when I would go to New York and drive to New York, I would do straight through, like 23 hours straight through of driving nonstop.
Terrible.
And when we would go to Tennessee or Keto Palooza, not towing the RV, it was no more than one night stop because, hotels, $100 a night. I don't want to pay that. But when we're towing our house, I'm like, I don't mind stopping. I've got a great solar system, so there's no reason to push it. So, we got up. We got up yesterday. I guess we got going about 7:30 in the morning. Drove. I was going to stop at 5 o'clock, and then Atlanta traffic, of course, and there was a ball game going, so that added a couple of hours. And then at 5 o'clock, I was like, you know what? We got to Carroll's in Georgia, and then I was like, I could keep going. So we went a couple of more hours. Stopped at a place called Casey Jones RV Park. I've stopped there before coming home from Texas.
There was no locker.
And I loved that. Thought about coming straight through, but that would have put us back at the farm at about 10 o'clock at night. And wouldn't have been able to back in, so we had to pull in. And then I would have had to get up early anyway to try to do Keto Beyond the Couch. So I think it's just easier. You know what? Just take the extra time. So sorry we're late, but we still have not missed having a Keto Beyond the Couch on Monday in 325 episodes.
God is so good.
So if you are new here, welcome to Keto Beyond the Couch. Keto Beyond the Couch is all about our subscribers. We do this every Monday, usually at 10 a.m., live whenever possible. And it's really just about a chance that celebrate our subscribers, wins, things like that. And then also answer questions and comments that we found on our social media from the last week. Now, if you're not a member of our Mighty Networks group, please take a moment, go join it, members.twocrazyketos.com. It is free. That is our community because we are all about community. If you want to support us financially, you can join one of the paid groups there, where, like, Wednesdays, Rachel does a group chat, live stream kind of lesson every Wednesday at 10 a.m., or usually Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Or you can use the links down below to purchase things or buy us a cup of coffee. Let's get in. Lots of people saying glad you guys are safe. Rachel's thinking about Davy Jones' locker. Yeah,
I am.
So if you are new here, the way we're going to do this, we're going to go over, answer everything that we've already prepared. We don't pay too much attention to the chat till the last 10 or 15 minutes. So if you have a question, hold off to then, or use the super chat function. If it's something we're talking about right now and you want us to talk about it and not miss it, use the super chat function. That's the $sign in the chat window. That highlights our screen and lets us know. This way we don't miss your question. Bonnie said late works for me.
Oh, good.
Up in Arkansas. I like 10 a.m. doing it at 10 a.m. because I don't have to get up at the butt crack of dawn to prepare everything. And it kind of gives people that are on the West Coast a chance to get up and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
maybe we can go along with them for their morning drive.
Still trying to decide what to do with Thursday live streams, if we should start doing them earlier. So we'll put a poll up in Mighty Networks. Let's start off with this from Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Sean said this is a really good point for this community. If you see or hear someone struggling, don't kick while they're down, help them up. Says, when you have a friend that's going through a storm, don't become a broadcaster. Get an umbrella and cover them.
Amen. That is so good. Yes, especially for the Two Crazy Ketos community. I feel like that should be everybody's motto. But I think that for us, Like, that is the challenge. And when we see ourselves being like, hey, I just want to point out all the things you're doing wrong, instead of being that umbrella for other people and being a covering, like, when we feel that we're being that way, like, stop right there.
Yeah.
See where can we pivot so that we can get back to the main thing. The main thing is people.
Yeah.
It's people. It's relationships with people.
Right.
Right? Like, this is not just, nobody's a statistic around here. Nobody's a number. Nobody is even a banner of keto or carnivore or paleo, right? I don't see people as a label. They're individual people.
Right.
And that's what we have to keep in mind.
I saw Bonnie say Alaska. Yes, we're leaving for Alaska. We're hopeful, like, literally 10 days, and we leave for Alaska.
I am
Cannot wait.
so excited.
For those of you who've been asking about what can you do in Alaska without spending a lot of money?
We're going to tape that.
We're going to be taping that tomorrow, so we'll be releasing that.
In your mind.
Because obviously, I mean, if you want it, you still have time if you want to get an excursion, but we're going to just point out some things that we learned on our Alaska trip last year in September, because it's pretty much the same trip.
Now, obviously, Alaska,
but also give you enough time if you need to order anything.
Is very seasonal.
Yeah.
So again, like, what exactly the weather is like in September?
It's better now than September.
It's different than it is in July. Ask the salmon.
Yeah.
In the salmon run, what's a better month for them, July or September?
I know
they're
that.
Gonna say July.
Pretty much the whole time we're going to be there, it's going to be like the mid to high 50s. So that is perfect.
Layers.
Lots of sunlight. Like, Indiana was weird, man. It was like by 4:45 in the morning, the sun was up, and then it was still light at 10 o'clock.
It was getting us ready for Alaska.
It was definitely getting us ready. So yeah, we'll be putting that up probably tomorrow or Wednesday. Rachel's got to go move her mom tomorrow afternoon. So that was like the whole reason we missed meat stock, is because we had to prepare for that. But we'll get all of that up. Super excited about Alaska. One thing I will tell you, if you don't have one right now, get a rain jacket.
Yes.
But you want to get a big one because you want to dress in layers. I will say that. Dress in layers. No big heavy coats, layers.
No. If you go back to we did a vlog when we went to Alaska and we talked about our journey. We had put like a link in Amazon for a jacket, the jackets that we bought.
I'll find that.
I still stand by those jackets because I think that they're inexpensive and useful.
Lightweight,
I like that.
go over other things. So.
Yes.
Okay, next one we have is from Ernie.
Hi, Ernie.
NonScale Victory in Midland, Texas on day 6 days. I saw this. I was kind of jealous about it. 6 day, 6 baseball game trip through Texas and Albuquerque.
Wow.
I actually fit in the normal seats.
I love that.
My friend got ADA seats just in case, but I don't need them.
Ernie,
that is awesome.
What an incredible victory. A lot of times we talk about in terms of like being able to shop in certain sections of stores or like be in certain stores that we haven't shopped in a while. But think about being able to enjoy a baseball game from a seat that you may have sat in when you were a little kid first developing the love of the game.
I remember the first time we went to a theme park after I lost weight.
And we didn't,
and
as
I didn't
a family,
have to go, I need row 3, seat number 2, because I knew where on every ride, which row had the bigger seat belts.
Even for shows.
Right, for that. And then I think this is the reason I always get the crappy seat when we go out to eat, because most of our marriage, Rachel couldn't sit in if you went out to eat and you had 2 chairs and a booth and like the bench, Rachel couldn't sit on the bench. Right. So she always sat on the chairs. And so now if we go to like Rodizio and they put you in the nice, one side is a comfy bench and the other side is 2 wood stools.
The bench.
I don't get to sit on the nice comfy bench.
I'm sorry.
And I think that you are just making up for the years and years of not being able to sit in the dinette.
I find myself, when I hear it come out of my mouth, like, yes, I will be in the tall chairs, those tall chairs, and I'm like, did I just say I'm going to sit in the tall chair thing? Like, who is this person? And it's because it was never something that I could sit in for years.
Next one is from...
Okay. Gigi.
Gigi. Okay. I want some info. I feel awful.
Okay.
I started Carnivore. Today is the 2nd day. I felt fine the first day. Today, however, I'm achy, cold, tired, really tired, can't move tired, can't move because I ache. I haven't been sick for several decades. I'm 68. I need to lose over 100 pounds. I've been keto for 3 years previously. I never felt like this. Sorry, I'm usually very cheery. But this seems a little bit over the line for just carnivore keto flu. The two things that I'm going to tell you. So if you're going carnivore and you're having these symptoms that you're talking about, now remember, we are not doctors, nurses, or health professionals. But I can tell you we have a lot of experience. We've coached a lot of people through this. We've been doing this for over 8 years. The two things, unless you have another medical condition, which if this literally just started when you started carnivore,
right?
Highly doubtful. But
that it's a medical issue.
That it's a medical issue. So the two things that are going to cause this is low electrolytes, and then also carb withdrawal. So we're going to start with the latter first. So if you go carb withdrawal, you're saying you were doing keto.
What did that keto look like?
What was the keto looking like?
Yeah.
So was it a really dirty keto with a lot of hidden carbs and like sweeteners and things like that, or was it a super clean like carnivore with some veggies kind of thing?
Did you kick caffeine
Yeah.
when you went carnivore? Did you go from drinking, like energy drinks that would have sweeteners in them, and now you're just kind of cold turkey trying to get rid of those things, and in doing that you got rid of some caffeine that maybe you didn't realize that you were super reliant on?
Like I'm a soda fiend. Everybody knows I'm a soda fiend, and I go through stints of no soda. Like right now I'm on a soda fiend kick. I'm going to continue that through the cruise.
Because
Because
there'll be no living with you.
Because I don't want to feel like crap
during the cruise.
The couple days going up to the cruise and then during the cruise. I want to enjoy my cruise, and generally I allow myself soda when I travel. The problem is I've been traveling a lot, so I've allowed myself a lot more soda than normal. Okay? Yeah. So when I get back, I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to kick soda for a while. Well, I might as well go find another house to live in for a week. Because I'm miserable to deal with.
Aww.
In that week. It's like trying to get Rachel to kick. When Rachel works herself from the 2 cups a day to 2 pots a day.
I am so down in coffee consumption. I'm just going to keep it like that.
I don't want to be near her because you're achy, you're miserable. So that could be part of it. Is like you're going some withdrawals that's causing achy. But I will tell you, a lot of it is probably going to be electrolytes. So if you're going from keto to carnivore, a lot of times you have to supplement your electrolytes even more unless you're heavily salting your food. But because a lot of when you're keto, you tend to get some more electrolytes in different forms of your foods. And now you're carnivore, and so you're probably missing some potassium, stuff like that. So I would recommend getting yourself some Salty. Or any of the other companies, but I happen to think Salty is going to be the best because with Salty, you're going to get more potassium, more magnesium. So that's where I would look.
And if you're like, hey, I've gotten rid of sweeteners, that's kind of part of the reason why
you're going to have to suffer through it.
Then I'm going to say you need to get the Keto Chow electrolyte drops. And in doing that, you're not getting any flavor, you're not getting any sweetener, and you can put those in anything or just, shoot them if you're brave.
And the other thing that you also need to consider is if you were eating a high vegetable form of keto, you might be going through some oxalate dumping.
Sure.
That's something else to think about. Next one's from Rita.
Hi, Rita.
I did it. I made it to and all the way through a water aerobics class.
Good job.
Felt great doing it. Had to go slower. However, I came out of the water with noodle legs, and walking up the stairs to my apartment was a chore, one day at a time.
Rita, I am so proud of you. I really want you to, if it's going to take me longer to get back to the house anyway because I got the noodle legs, I might as well take every step basking in the pride that I followed through with something for me. This is a good thing that you are doing for yourself, that you are not broken. Those water aerobics classes can be intensive. I can remember making fun of my mom for, coming home and, she was going to water aerobics class regularly before she moved to Coconut Creek. And she was doing one, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's so hard. And she's like, come do one with me, and then we will talk. And I did. And it about kicked my butt because it can be very intensive. So don't feel like there's something wrong as you get used to that workout.
Don't overdo it.
I am so proud of you for following through with that.
I will never forget, before I started keto, so some people may know, the way I got started on keto was we had a weight loss bet at church. There were 10 of us, including the pastor and John Paul, our oldest son. And this weight loss bet was to lose percentage of body fat. Okay?
What a great...
So this was not how many pounds you can lose.
Yes.
I could have aced that because I'm a master. I can ace it because I knew every trick in his sleeve. Like, people are like, well, I lost 10 pounds in a week. I can do that. I can lose 10 pounds in 5 days. No problem. And I can tell you how to do it. Now, it's not really weight loss.
Go to the weigh-in with like 4 sets of clothes on your body first.
Well, yeah, I've done that kind of stuff. But I mean, just completely not eating, I would, when I did Nutrisystem and stuff and they would weigh you in, I did that. You start off on day one with heavy clothes. And then by the time you're going, you're pretty much wearing underwear when you show up, right? And then, okay, I have to wear something, so just don't wear underwear because those underwear add pounds,
obviously.
Right? I would do things like water pills, I was only fooling myself. So, of course, these guys all figured that somebody is going to come up with that idea, like me. So we did percentage of that. So we had to get caliber weight and stuff like that. And we're all doing CrossFit because there was a guy who owned a CrossFit and they only charged us $50. I needed special stuff because I have so many injuries and stuff. And so he goes, what I want you to do is go home and just sit on the edge of the pool and kick.
He was crying.
For 30 minutes.
Crying.
I could not walk for 3 days. And the worst part was I had a lacrosse tournament the next day. But you would think, oh, what's the big deal? Just put your feet in the water on the edge of a pool and kick. Yeah, don't do that for more than 5 or 10 minutes. Because your quads, when you're done, you can't walk.
If you are going on the low carb cruise, I will say that there are nice...
The water aerobics, you loved that.
Me and Miriam did the water aerobics class, and it was freaking awesome. So I highly recommend that if they, if they offer that, and they did when we went on the last cruise. But even if they don't have water aerobics or it doesn't fit in with your schedule, there are 2 indoor pools on this thing. Just sit on the sit by it, and kick your legs while you're visiting.
Water is one of the best forms of strength training because it's a natural resistance.
And it doesn't put pressure on your body. It's like a safer way to do it sometimes.
By the way, the ending of that story was the guy closed the CrossFit. That's how I found keto. John Paul, of course, because he was, I don't even know how old. He was like 20 years old.
Disposable income.
Had plenty of income, went to another CrossFit. That's where he met Michelle. And of course, John Paul won the $1,000, which was even more miserable.
I think it's interesting that a church bet completely changed everyone's life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is. Next one's from Teresa.
Hey, Teresa.
Hello, I'm new here. I'm 2.5 months on keto. I stumbled across Joe and Rachel on YouTube and love this channel.
Thank you.
I'm trying to find my way around Mighty Networks and wondering how to join the Meatheads group. Thanks in advance. Okay, so Mighty Networks, members.2krazyketos.com. That is our free community. If you have to do this on a computer,
desktop.
You cannot do it using the Mighty Networks app. Once you have an account, you can use the Mighty Networks app. But to sign up, you have to go to either a computer or the browser on your phone or tablet, like Safari or Chrome, but you can't use the app. The reason that is because Google and Apple charge like a 30% surcharge, and so we don't want to do that. So you do it on your computer. So if you go on a computer, members.2krazyketos.com, over on the left-hand side, down on the bottom, you're going to see groups. Press on Meatheads. I don't even remember the names of them. But press on one of those, and it's going to pull up, and you can type in your information and join right there. Now, once you have an account, then you can go use the app.
I would love for you to join, and anybody that would be interested, because then we get to hang out on Wednesdays, too.
Yeah. Next one is from Hopsby.
Upped my protein and calories, completely keto, no grocery store keto items ever, increased hydration and exercise. This isn't muscle weight, belly is back. have gained almost 15 pounds in 3 weeks, and my high blood pressure and sinus pressure, again, I'm so sad. Keeping keto, but confused as to what I'm doing wrong. Inflammation and medication back. No longer can get into ketosis. My insulin numbers are perfect. Drowning. Maintained for 2 years. Have checked carb creep. Have logged meals lost. Can't afford nutritionist or coach. The first thing that comes to my mind as I'm reading this is just a stressful atmosphere right there. That's going to be my first thing. What else is going on in your life? Are you sleeping? What's going on at work? What else like this? There is a pace of panic that is here, and personally I experienced a terrible like size gain, girth gain from stress. That stress can be a really, like, it can be the thing where you're like, I am doing everything right and this don't make no sense.
Yeah.
And that was definitely a situation that we experienced when we were first moving to this farm. There was so much going on. Our child was getting married. We were going to have to sell the house. We're going to have to renovate this house. Well, what about travel? Well, what about the animals? Like, all of this stuff was just weighing on my heart, and it added to my thoughts, to my heart weight, and it had no place to go except for in my body.
So I'm going to say something's going on. I would have a couple questions. First of all, the chance that you've gained 15 pounds of fat in 3 weeks is pretty small. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's highly unlikely. So it sounds like there's a bunch of inflammation going on. So my questions would be, what were you eating before? What are you eating now? You're saying you upped your protein and your calories. How much? How fast? Did you up your protein but not your fat? So you're saying I'm having trouble getting into ketosis. Okay, so there's 2 things that will prevent somebody from getting into ketosis. Technically 3 things. Number 1, just eating carbohydrates. Okay, so let's rule that out. Let's say that you're eating a very clean keto lifestyle. You're keeping your total carbs under, say, 30 total carbs per day. So that means that you should be in and out of ketogenesis throughout the day. You will always be in and out of ketosis. Okay, so anybody that tells you I am in ketosis 24 hours a day is lying,
right? Or
they just don't know what they're talking about, because that's impossible, because the body does need a little bit of sugar to survive. And so when your body creates sugar through gluconeogenesis, it will use that sugar, and then you're not in ketosis, because ketosis is your body using ketones for fuel, but there are times throughout the day where your body is going to use glucose for sugar. It's just for fuel. You just don't need to consume it. So that's number 1. The second thing that's going to kick you out of ketosis or hinder you getting into ketogenesis, let's make sure we use the right term. Ketogenesis, where your body's producing ketones, that's what you're going to be measuring, would be eating excess protein without a lot of fat. And that kind of goes back to the first one, is if you're eating a lot of protein without a lot of fat, you could end up having your body going to gluconeogenesis and create more glucose, because it doesn't think it has enough fuel. So it'll just turn that protein into fuel. It doesn't want to do that, and the simple to that is just make sure you're consuming enough fat but not too much fat. The third thing, and this is very common, is even if you're eating, say, 10 total carbs a day or 5 total carbs a day, if you are just flat out over consuming food, your body will not produce a lot of ketones. It just doesn't need to. That can cause weight gain. A lot of people think that if you eat keto, then you're just never going to gain weight. That is not true. Okay, we've been keto for 8 years, and we have been up and down in weight.
Sure.
If you overeat, you will gain weight, even if you're not consuming carbohydrates. It's a fact. So my thing is you're saying you increase your protein and calories. Did you increase your fat, or did you only increase protein? How much? What were you eating before? What are you eating now? Were you eating 1,400 calories and now you jumped yourself all the way up to 2,500 calories? How fast did you make that jump? Because if you made that jump overnight, yes, that could result in a little bit of weight gain until your body stabilizes there. So what I would ask you to do, I understand that you can't afford a nutritionist or coach. I would tell you, at least go into our Mighty Networks group, members at twocrazyketos.com, and send us a message, or you can email us. And what I would like to see is what were you eating for, say, a week ahead of time before you did this? Like, on average, how much were you eating? And then
What's going on now?
What are you doing now? What I'd really like to see is almost like, I'd like to see a week's worth of everything you ate. Like, and don't cheat. If you had a cup of coffee, if you had a cup of a soda, if you are chewing a piece of gum, I would want to see it.
Note it.
And people say, well, gum. Well, every piece of gum has 2 carbs. Rachel has been known to, when she goes through her gum addiction, she can go through an entire pack of that thing, like, what is it, like 30 pieces in that thing in a day.
That's 60 total carbs.
Yeah. So, like, all of that. Are you consuming 2 pots of coffee a day? So there's a lot of things that have been going. It could be stress, but I would really be curious of how much and how fast did you increase your food intake.
And like you said about like making sure that you're upping your fat with it. A lot of times when people are willing to even consider upping the amount of food that they eat, they go super lean. They're like, I'm going to add more meals, but I'm not going to make them fatty meals. That's how they're trying to justify it. And then they lead with just like very, very lean protein as like their add-on.
Crystal said, I found I needed to increase my fat because it wasn't equal to the problem. That's what I'm working on for weight loss. Yeah, Andrew said, he's up in Alaska.
Hey!
Said they're going through 20 hours of sunlight. It was hot a few days before the river ice broke for a couple weeks ago.
Oh my goodness.
And I saw Debbie said, I'm trying to hold out on buying food before going on the cruise, so my eating is going to be pretty much eggs to use them up.
Just use
ground
them up.
beef out of steaks in the freezer and keto chips. Yeah, I'm not planning on buying any food. We're going to be eating a lot of eggs. Whatever's in the freezer. We stopped at Carol's yesterday morning. We didn't even buy anything.
We didn't even buy anything.
I didn't buy bacon.
I mean, who are we? But I've thought the same way as Debbie. It's like, why should we buy a bunch of groceries? We're about to go on a cruise where it's like every type of food that you can imagine. I don't need to, dazzle myself with variety this week when there's no way I can compare to the variety we're going to have next week.
Next one is from Angela.
Hi, Angela.
Hello, all. I've started to add some frozen mixed berries to my yogurt.
Nice.
That I sometimes eat for dessert. Does anyone else ever feel like sometimes the morning after eating them, they are more hungry than normal? I rarely eat breakfast, so I'm used to eating around 12 to 1. Not sure if it's from the berries or just my body needing more fuel. Thanks in advance for any thoughts of this. So, I would ask you, what time are you eating these berries? So, berries. So, I got into a big argument with somebody on our video. It wasn't a bug. I responded because we were accused. We also had a bunch of people accusing us of religious things within that video. But this person kind of used both and was talking about berries and fruit, and that God made fructose, therefore fructose is good. And here's the thing about fructose, okay? So that's the sugar that's within fruit. First of all, the fruit that we're eating today is not the same fruit from even 50 years ago. It's sweeter, larger. We have ruined the fruit, okay? But the thing about fructose and the sugars that are in these berries is they actually trigger something in our brain to cause us to forage.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are hunter-gatherers. By nature, we are hunter-gatherers. Berries and fruit would be quick energy to get you to go forage and hunt for food or do your farm work and stuff like that. That's what it does. Here is the problem.
We don't hunt and gather.
We don't hunt and gather. So foraging now is go to the refrigerator.
Right. You're hunting in the refrigerator for some. I mean, how many of us, especially pre-keto, it was even worse pre-keto. When you would be like standing in front, keep going to the refrigerator and just staring at it like, what is in here? Going to the pantry and just spending a lot of time thinking about, well, what could I make a meal out of? We're hunting and gathering for things, but we don't have to do much exercise to achieve the hunt.
Yeah. So what I would tell you is it makes total sense, and it's also how many berries are you having? Are you having like 5 blackberries, or are you having a half a cup or a cup? Okay, because there's not a lot of berries in a serving. You know, people are like, well, I'm having some strawberries.
Like
strawberries are keto friendly. Well, it's like that's a serving's 2. Okay, like Brazil nuts. Like, I love Brazil nuts. It's a nut I never want to buy because I only get 2. I'd rather eat almonds or Chris Bear's favorite nut, walnuts, because I can eat
them.
like 10 times the amount. Weight-wise, they may be the same, but it's how many times I can go hand to mouth. That's a big deal for me, okay? So if you're eating a bunch of berries, that's going to be sugar. Then you're going to go to sleep. Your body's got to burn off that sugar, and then it gets into the fat thing. So it makes sense that you want to forage more in the morning and you want to eat more. My suggestion would be is if you want to consume berries, and I know this is hard, if you're going to do it earlier. Like if you're saying you're having it for dessert, by 6 o'clock, there should be no more. If you're going to eat after 6 o'clock, it should only be like protein with a little bit of fat, like with fat. Like it should be a higher fat meal at night, less carbs. So whatever carbs you're going to eat should be earlier in the day, not in the evening.
You can choose to make like that breakfast time your dessert time, because again, we adults, if we are deciding, as children, we don't get to decide if there's dessert, right? Like we think about our parents offering us dessert when we were growing up.
Yes.
That was for them to provide, right? Yeah. If we're eating dessert now, we are completely choosing that for ourselves. And we can choose any time to have that thing. It's like, you know what? If you today want to say, we're having breakfast for dinner, are we allowed to do that? Yes, of course. Right. You're an adult and you get to choose. So the berries are, if you're going to have them, yes, earlier in the day would be better.
So just know that, berries, it's sugar. Therefore, it's quick fuel. And then when your body's done with it, then you're going to want more. So again, that's one of the problems with the sugar diet. And you see this with the people that are doing the sugar diet or the sugar fast. They're eating all day long. They're like, I have intense energy. Of course you have intense energy. Your body is burning sugar. But then in an hour, as you crash, you got to keep going. You just have to keep eating this sugar. The problem is, eventually you're not going to eat sugar. And now you're screwed. I mean, that's,
right.
And it's... I feel like we've done enough on it. There's a couple of more comments about it, but just know that is the problem. The sugar is going to make you want to eat and forage and get more food. So I'm not saying never have berries, but I would time it. If you are finding when you eat berries at night, you want to eat as soon as you get up in the morning or you are hungrier, shift the time when you're going to eat those berries. So obviously now you know what the berries do. Find a time, like I would have berries before work. When you get up, because then it gives you that, let's get going. Okay? Next one's from Carrie.
Hey, Carrie.
I feel like I did this one. I forgot to take this one out. But
worth repeating.
Go over it again.
Yeah, so how come no one told us this? I've eaten bushels of rice, I've filled with potatoes. I don't even want to think about all that pasta, and I was taught that this was health food. So especially if you're new here.
Again, this is what we were just talking about, so it's actually perfect.
We classify things as savory or sweet. And we make a differential between those two. We compartmentalize things. We say that, potatoes, that's a good sugar, and a candy bar is a bad sugar. But your body is not, like, dividing things the same way that you are.
Yeah.
It's saying, this is sugar, this is fat, okay, this is what I do with these two things. There's not as many lanes as we make them out to be.
Yeah. Next one is from Jason.
Hey.
A genuine question for you two.
Genuine. Okay.
This is actually off the sugar diet video.
All right.
Okay. You mentioned that you were both 100 plus pounds prior and metabolically unhealthy. So if you didn't know, we honestly don't know what our starting weight is, but we do know that we were both well over 300 pounds. Okay. Rachel lost roughly 170 pounds. I'm probably somewhere around 130 or so. But pretty much when we got to 300, we stopped weighing.
Yes.
Okay? So we were both very metabolically unhealthy. Rachel was experiencing stroke symptoms, pre-diabetes symptoms. So if you were healthy prior, would you have become desperate enough to have to restrict to doing something as extreme as keto? I'm just going to read it and then answer it all.
Okay.
Next question. Now that you are healed and in excellent metabolic health, why is it that you still need to restrict and fear certain foods when a major part of health is the compatibility or the capability to efficiently process and partition energy intake of any kind? Okay. This is kind of the title today. Should you quit keto? No. Ever. Never, ever. Should you maybe modify things in your level on the proper human diet over time? Possibly, depends on you. Should you ever quit the proper human diet? Never, ever, 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 ever in your life. Because it is the proper human diet.
Right.
Okay? So there's different levels of the proper human diet. So to answer the first part, if we were healthy, this is like a loaded question. So
Well,
if we were healthy, would we have ever become desperate enough to try keto? So if you're healthy, how are you ever desperate? Like, I don't know how I could be desperate if I was already healthy. Now, would I say, first of all, you're asking as extreme as keto. I do not think keto is extreme. I just don't. And I've done Atkins. You did Atkins.
Sure.
It's understanding the ketogenic lifestyle. It's been different names, but it's been around since the early 1900s.
When you think about, like, we explained a lot of keto stuff while we were on, on our trip, because we were coming in contact with people who've never even heard that term before, or they didn't understand it. They're trying to understand it. And so we have really simplified, like, how we talk about it. Well, what do you eat? And they're waiting for, like, this really long, involved answer. And we eat mostly meat and a little bit of vegetables for entertainment purposes and, like, texture changes. And it's like, they're waiting for more information, and yet that is it.
Right.
That is the information. So one of the people that I was talking to was saying, like, they could understand the need for it, but they're not, like, overweight. Right. And so I was like, well, I think that's a bad category. When you talk about, like, being desperate, are you thinking this person, he or she is equating a lot of, like, how many pounds that we've lost to our desperation. But again, someone that is skinny is not necessarily healthy.
Right. And that's what, listen, I think this is a troll, but I thought it was a good, legitimate question.
Sure.
Which is why I put it in here.
Yeah.
So, would we have tried something, as they say, as extreme as keto if we got desperate enough if we were healthy? Well, that's kind of an oxymoron, because we wouldn't be desperate if we were healthy. Now, take it a step further, and this is how I answered the person. I would hope that we would have found the ketogenic proper human diet and done it without becoming desperate, and still, if we were healthy. But that would have taken somebody to come to us and present us with keto that we would have to meet, because most people find keto because they get desperate and they look online. But again, if you're healthy, you're not desperate. So that means that somebody would have that in our life that was eating it, that knew about it, that loved us, would say, hey, I want to show you how to get healthier.
Yeah.
Right? And I would hope that I would have adopted that and eventually found keto if we were healthy. But I think it's a loaded question. So the other part is, now that we're healed, pretty much, why do we continue to eat keto?
My question is, what am I missing out on that you think that I'm, you know what I mean? Like, I do not consider myself very restrictive. What I pass on is ultra processed, like, desserty foods. So, like, if we're someplace, I'm not ordering the funnel cake. I'm not getting a bunch of, like, donuts. I'm not eating a lot of candy. But I don't see the need for it. And when it was a part of our life, I felt like I was aggravated at the time that I was consuming it, that I felt like I needed it. Like, I didn't want to need it. So it's one thing when you're feeling like, oh, you've got, like, a childhood association, you're thinking, well, this is fun. Like, I'm eating, a blue slushie at a baseball game and my lips are blue, and childhood. But it's not the same. It was not the same experience for me as an adult. Right. To be completely feeling like I am not going to get through my day without, like, where is the candy in my desk drawer at work? Like, I need to really fuel. I need another donut in order for me to get through the 2:00 hour. It wasn't fun anymore. I felt like it was like a crutch. Right. That I was trying to survive.
Well, here's my thing. Okay, so why do we continue to eat keto? Because it is the proper human diet. Because I feel good on the proper human diet. I don't have pain. I have energy. I'm eating the way I believe God designed us to eat. God commanded us to eat meat. I feel good on it. So now you're saying, and you're saying, why do we continue to restrict and fear certain? I don't fear any foods. Let's be clear, a funnel cake is not food.
Right.
Okay, Sour Patch Kids is not food. It's candy. It's enjoyment, but it's not food. Food is something that sustains our life. Sour Patch Kids does not sustain our life. It shortens our life. Funnel cakes shorten our life. Roundabout, it shortens our life. We know, and before anybody gets into, like, again, fruit, again, the food that we're eating here in the United States today is not the same food that our ancestors
Maria
had.
Emmerich has done some great, like with slides.
Strawberries used to be that big.
Yeah.
Go to the store now and look at them. So that argument is out the window.
Right.
Wheat. The wheat in the United States is not even the same wheat that's in other countries. Mike Mutzel had done a thing probably about a year ago, how he went to Europe, I think it was in Italy, and ate breads and pastas
Totally
and
different.
did not get the sick like as if he would have eaten them here.
Right.
Because it's different. We have completely ruined that food where, like, ancient grain, no such thing.
Just
There's
because they
just
call
no
it
such
that,
thing.
it's just marketing.
So so I'm not afraid of the foods. If I was afraid of foods, I wouldn't eat bacon. Okay? Because we've been taught to fear eating bacon. So I eat what is good for my body. Now, as far as us, can I efficiently process and partition energy intake of any kind? If I ate a bag of Sour Patch Kids tomorrow, my body knows exactly what to do with it. It does. But I don't want to feel crappy as a result of that. We went to Buc-ee's, okay? We did good. We didn't even stop at one Buc-ee's yesterday.
Look at us being
And
adults.
I see those beaver chips, the potato chips.
Sure.
I would love them. Would it kill me to eat those? No. I know I'm metabolically healthy. They're potatoes. The problem is I'm going to get sick from the seed oils that they're cooked in. And I also worry, would I now, every time I go to Buc-ee's, want them?
Associate
Or
it.
every time I see those thin potato chips, am I going to want them? So I choose to not do that. They're not going to benefit me, so I'm not going to eat them. Now, if I was starving to death, would I eat them? Absolutely. Okay?
But I'm not starving to death.
Grains
Thank the Lord.
are not healthy. In other words, like they're not going to bring us health, but they will bring us survivability.
Yes.
Okay? Like if you're in a famine, eat grains.
Yeah, don't say like, I'm sorry, I'm keto. I'm just going
But
to
you're not going
die
to
of
be healthy.
starvation.
There's a reason that the slaves always got grains.
Yeah.
Okay? It will keep you alive, but not keep you healthy. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So hopefully we kind of answered that
I
question.
think it's funny too when anybody says like, eat sugar. What are you, scared? Scaredy cat? And it's kind of like, really? Like, I'm a grandmother. Like, I would hope that I double dog dare you to eat it.
Right.
Like, should not work on me still.
Right.
If someone is like, you're not having a cool Christmas, loser, like, if that really does truly bait me, then I need to reflect on how I process things.
Well, really what this person is saying is, okay, so you were eating a shitty diet. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Stauffer!
You were eating a bad diet. You got yourself healthy. So go back to eating that diet.
I will put him outside.
So basically what you're saying is an alcoholic or a drug addict should
Get well and then...
become a recovering alcoholic or recovering drug addict. I haven't had drugs in 10 years, but now...
I'm going to be
Since
appropriate with
I've
them.
fixed my health and I've recovered from all of the damage that the alcohol and the drugs did,
We can do this
now I can go back to
recreationally.
eating drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what this person is saying.
Yeah. Well,
So, sorry for the curse, but
Yes.
I got aggravated. Okay,
Clearly.
next one is from Cindy.
Hey, Cindy.
If I am eating mostly meat, butter, and keto chow, can I have some spinach?
Absolutely not.
Don't say that. Someone's going to take that seriously.
Okay.
I don't even like... Now you're in timeout. I don't even like most veggies. But I've been having a craving lately.
Sure.
I've gotten everything about keto really... And I forgot everything about keto and feel really confused. If you want to have vegetables, have vegetables.
Yes.
And if anybody in the keto space, especially in our group, tells you that you're wrong...
Tell them to write me.
Yeah.
Not you. Don't tell them. Say, I'm sorry.
Don't get in a fight with them.
Right, Rachel.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, they're wrong. Okay, so
Yeah.
if anybody comes to you and goes, "Do you like if you're doing vegetables, you're not doing keto right?" They're wrong.
Please
Don't
send them
listen
to
to them.
customer
And
service.
yes, spinach. The biggest
Wash
problem
it.
with spinach is one of
Get it
the
organic.
one of the most highly sprayed crops.
Get the good
And
stuff.
so if you are going to purchase spinach, only buy organic spinach.
This is
Only.
not a snobby thing. This
Okay.
is called a...
There's a lot of fruits and vegetables that I will tell you it doesn't matter at all. Okay? Because the pesticides don't get into
A hard skin.
You know, hard skins and things like that. There are certain vegetables that it matters.
Tomatoes.
There are certain fruits that matter.
Right.
So tomatoes, strawberries, stuff
You're
like that.
eating that.
You want organic, but spinach is one of the most highly sprayed crops. So
Yeah.
only ever get organic. My advice is to actually buy frozen. Go to Whole Foods and buy that
flash
365. There's actually more nutrients, even though there's not a lot of nutrients. There's more nutrients in frozen than there is in fresh, which is kind of weird because growing up I was always taught it's fresh is better than frozen.
Sure. But these are flash frozen.
But because they're flash frozen, as soon as you pick that fruit or that vegetable,
it starts degrading.
It starts losing the little bit of nutrients it has. So whereas when you buy frozen, it's flash frozen right away. So it's actually better than fresh unless you're going to your garden. But that's, if you want to have spinach, I like cream spinach. I don't like plain spinach, but I love spinach.
If
I don't eat
you
it a
are
lot, though.
going on a low carb cruise and going to be enjoying specialty dining, highly recommend the cream spinach at Chops.
Yeah.
It's
Now,
awesome.
if you have oxalate problems, there are a lot of oxalates. Some people have problems with it, some people don't. It depends on how much you're going to do. But if you're, hey, once a week I want some spinach,
You go do that
enjoy
thing.
yourself.
Enjoy it. Yes.
And as far as you've forgotten everything about keto and feel confused, it's very simple. Keep your total carbs under 30 and focus on meat.
You got
So when
this.
you look at your plate, it should be at least 60 to 70% meat.
Yeah.
Next one is from Denise.
Hi, Denise.
When my doctor gave me the pamphlets for weight loss surgery after years of being miserable in my body, that was my wake-up call. I need to find a way to lose weight naturally and in walk through the keto lifestyle.
So
Since
good.
2019, I've lost 90 pounds with the exception of 10 pounds. The weight has stayed off.
Yes.
By the way, thank you for showing off my fish picture at the beginning of the episode.
You did so good.
Happy to be able to do this at 64.
This, honestly, I am thankful that, you know, we've never, you know, you don't really celebrate, like, not having a lot of money. But we could not afford weight loss surgery. And I honestly think that, you know, it saved us. Because if there was any way, shape, or form that we could have made it happen,
Tried to figure it out.
we never could have done that. So, like, yeah, I'm thankful for those moments, you know, where there is a fork in the road. And, you know, I praise God for those moments where it's just like, I think we need to take some time and not be so rushed. Joe and I were talking about how having the RV has caused us to just slow down in general as a driver, because you just, you know, you have a different pace because you understand you always have so much to lose when it comes to getting into a car accident, right? If you're making silly choices and you're trying to be fast and you're not aware of, like, your surroundings, that it's a problem all the time.
Yeah.
But when you're RVing, you start to think, I need to really have eyes on this thing. I really need to change my pace and let go of some stressors and just say, hey, it's going to take as long as it takes because of what all is on the line. And I think that when we're making decisions for our health, whether it is a surgery, whether it is a new way of eating, stop for a second and think about what there is to lose in this, right? So it is okay that you do not need to make your decisions, like life-altering, potentially life-changing decisions, in a snap.
Yeah. I saw Andy said I'm scared of oxalates. I don't want the dumping. If you eat a little bit of spinach once in a blue moon, you're not going to have oxalate dumping. It's people who are eating a ton of it.
Popeye.
Which is why we've been getting a lot of hate that we use keto chow for baking recipes. The reason I do is because we try not to give you a lot of almond flour. I can give you, if you want desserts, I can give you desserts up the butt. but they're all
I don't know if
going.
anybody wants that.
They're all
quantity.
going to be with massive amounts of almond flour, and talk about oxalates. Like, so we try to avoid that because I think you're better off using protein powders. But many times, as I say, no matter how much hate I get about it, you don't have to use keto chow. You can use other protein powders.
Sure.
But I have keto chow, so why would I go out and buy another one? So,
just not interested in having to steward making everyone happy anymore.
right. Next one's from Transforming in Progress.
Well, hello.
I'm brand new to Carnivore and participating in the June 2025 30-day beef butter bacon and egg challenge. This is to commemorate achieving my goal weight,
Way to go.
eating a low carb keto diet on the intermittent fasting schedule. I've lost exactly half of my
Yay.
highest starting weight of 270 pounds from October 2023. I'm 62, 5'3", healthy, 135 pounds, BMI of 23. Your beef butter bacon egg meals look delicious. Thanks for your video. Much appreciated.
Well, thank you
awesome.
so much for taking us along for the journey. And please reach out to us if we can be helpful in any other way.
Evelyn forgives me. She said, I speak French every now and then too, Joe. When you are passionate and you want people to listen, we forgive you.
It just fell out of your mouth,
It
but you
did.
need to tie a rope around it.
And sometimes it's hard. Next one's from Carolyn.
Hey, Carolyn.
I spent a week visiting with a friend from high school in Minnesota. We hiked trails and forests and along the headwaters of the Mississippi.
Wow.
It was all fun of camping without any of the drawbacks. I enjoyed a warm bed at night, home-cooked meals, eating out and sitting on the porch, watching squirrels, birds, and chipmunks. I spent the afternoon walking along Lake Superior.
Doesn't that just sound beautiful? Like, I feel like my blood pressure went down just reading that post.
Yeah.
There's the pursuit. If you're looking at, like, well, what is the challenge that I'm going to pose to myself, like, this summer? What's going to be my 75 hard? I want you to 75 go hard for enjoying your life.
There is some lake.
I
Somebody
didn't
might
even
know.
hear any food there.
Somebody might know the answer, but I don't know. But there is a lake along. I think we're back on I-75 or it's
You're talking about in
I-65.
Tennessee?
It's like right like Tennessee into Georgia, like right in that area. It's a giant lake. I know it's like right on the border because
Are you sure
the
it's not the Tennessee River?
the rest area. No, the lake that we stopped at. That you're like, can we just stay here for hours?
Yeah.
You know, because but there's a big rest area there, and it's on. I want to go RVing there because I know you can. People have boats, and you can put your
Just wanna
RVs
go
and tents and
fish.
stuff. And Rachel's like, I just want to sit here and look at this. I'm like, no, we gotta go. We gotta go.
That is just joy. And if you are going on the low carb cruise, you're preparing yourself, and you're thinking about, like, what am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? What's the schedule going to be? I want to make sure I eat, but not too much. You know, like all of this. Let go of all of that worry, and I want you to turn your attention to looking forward to the beauty that you are going to behold. We are going to see such beautiful places, colors that you describe. They're in a crayon box, but then you see them and you're like, I'm seeing green like I've never seen green before, ever.
Yeah.
Get excited about that.
Next one's from Sabrina.
Hey, Sabrina.
Did the couple we talked to at White River Campground find you and tell you hi
Yes.
from us? I would be surprised, as I know there are a lot of people there. Yes, they
Yes.
walked up and said, hey, Joe and Rachel. We met a couple, and they said, Burt Reynolds says hi. So, yes, thank you for that.
That was
great.
so fun, and we had a good conversation with them. But yes, they stopped us. We were on a golf cart, and they were like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, we literally were buzzing down the road.
Yeah.
Next one's from Meg.
Hey, Meg. Again, with the powerful words that I appreciated hearing. We are all different. I joke that I do supermarket keto. I take what I need and leave the rest. It's been 5 years of keto for me so far. I've had to keep finding my path, dropping keto foods, increasing protein, lowering fat, going dairy-free, adding hand weights to my workouts. Biggest advice is find your path. I keep it simple. Basic eating. On Friday, I will be 62, and I have lost 60 pounds so far. I love the idea of a get-together next year. I'm not an RV girl, so definitely would need a cabin. Community is important, and this one has helped me so much.
That is awesome.
Thanks, Meg.
A couple more before we get off. Before we go to the comments. Gail
Hi,
said,
Gail.
the morphing of the sugar diet fast into eating naked sugars all day for some long and indeterminate amount of time is irresponsible. Cotton candy as a snack? Huh. What is unconscionable is the woman I saw who is breastfeeding and only eating sugar. No lean meats, no fats, not even protein from a plant source. I can't even. Mike's video, Mike Muscle, on the topic was good and balanced, and I haven't watched Thomas DeLawler's yet, although I had a different perspective on a couple of your points.
Sure.
I mostly agreed with the spirit of your video, as well as just with these videos, just wish these videos were reaching the masses of people that really need a second opinion about this protocol to consider.
You know, the best way we can make that happen.
Our word for it.
Well, but and I appreciate you saying that, and I agree. The best way, help us get the message out. Share our videos.
Yeah.
Definitely subscribe. If you're watching this right now and you have not subscribed to this video, I promise you that if you hit the subscribe button, I am not going to call you at dinner time every night. Yeah. It is not that kind of commitment. Hit the thumbs up. Comment on the videos. All of that engagement is getting the attention of an algorithm. It's not a person. It's not like, I would love it if people could call up and say, you know, hey, Better Business Bureau, I really like those 2 crazy ketos. Or like, I'm going to do a Yelp review on 2 crazy ketos and see if I can get more people to eat at the 2 crazy ketos restaurant. It's not like that. We need your engagement.
Yeah.
That's what really helps, because, yeah, you know, if more people share this, they subscribe and they like and they share our videos, then when someone just does a search on YouTube of sugar diet, our video will come up along with one that is promoting it in a favorable way.
Next one is the last one from Dave.
Hey, Dave.
It is really just this simple. If you stop eating protein, you will die. If you stop eating fat, you will die. If you stop eating carbs, you will not die.
Any questions? Reminds me of that old, like, here's your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Because the bottom line is, there is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. Now, these people are going to make you think there is. But there is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. Your body can survive without you consuming any sugar or anything that turns into sugar. Your body cannot survive without protein and fat.
I honestly,
long term.
What goes back to my heart is, like, you right now are somebody's child, right? What we would do for our children, like, we would never hurt our children. We would never do something to our children to hurt them. We love them. We want to nourish their lives, but sometimes we mistreat us. We mistreat ourselves. When people talk to themselves in an ugly way, I'm like, I want them to think about, would they say this thing that they're saying to themselves, would they say it to their child? Absolutely not. Right? So don't say it to yourself, because you're somebody's child, right? And so I think about when you're talking about, well, this is going to be great and this is going to achieve a result that I really want right now. I'm going to have all this energy. This is so great. It reminds me with the sugar of, like, the toddlers and tiaras thing.
Yeah.
Where
we were talking about that driving up.
Where you would have, like, the parents giving what they would call go-go juice to the little toddlers.
Mountain Dew and Pixie Sticks.
Mountain Dew and Pixie Sticks
to
achieve an end, right?
Does anybody else want to admit that they would, we would binge watch that? I think we only binge watched it to watch the train wreck.
Oh, right. And it's terrible. But the thing is that what would you would come away thinking, I would never do that to a 2-year-old. You're trying to get a certain performance out of them where they're just, like, going to smile and, you know, kind of be out of it. But you also know
then they would crash.
They would totally crash, and you're like, I don't want to do this to a baby. Yeah. And also, I don't want to.
But we're willing to do it to ourselves.
I don't want to see them jonesing for the next hit.
Right.
Right. So again, why is that upsetting? Because you're saying, well, you're doing that to a precious little child. You are a precious little child. You are precious. I don't want somebody to do that to themselves, because I don't see you as any less valuable. I don't want you to experience the crash.
Right.
I don't want you to just be, like, you know, super, super full of energy and just smiling, but, like, vacant.
Right.
Because all you're doing is just trying to get out the sugar that's poisoning you.
It just scares me, and I kind of want to move on from it. But it's like somebody commented that, well, I've lost 12 pounds in the last 7 days. I'm like, I'm sorry to tell you, You didn't lose 12 pounds of fat. You lost 12 pounds of a bunch of inflammation and water, and it's going to come back. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I promise you, it will all come back. You may lose a pound of fat. It's impossible to lose 12 pounds of fat in a week. It's You're basically saying that your body burned over that somewhere around 10,000 calories a day. To lose that more than a pound of fat every single day, you would have had to have burned over 10,000 calories a day.
Well, in the toddlers and tiaras thing, there's a goal. Win the award. Get the trophy. Get the title. So like you get the trophy. The kid gets the trophy, gets the title. Are you happy for the kid, or you're like, oh my gosh?
Right. Let's do some more of these comments. So,
hey, Trish.
Larry actually, I don't know if he's answering. He said Nickajack Lake. I don't know the name of it. I need to find the name so we can. But again, I know it's like right in the area of Georgia, where Georgia and Tennessee meet.
It was beautiful.
I feel like it's like when you're driving up. I think it's 65 at that point, but it's where you're driving up. It's right after where you're in Georgia, then you're in Tennessee, then you're back in Georgia, and then you're back in Tennessee. It's like right in that. It's a beautiful, right at the bottom of a big bend. It's gorgeous. And I want to go camping there. But Rachel wanted to just spend there forever. We went to the restaurant and she's like, can I go look at the lake? And I'm like, I guess.
I know we have a schedule, but...
So Trish said, weight loss surgery saved my life years ago. I don't regret having it because I know I would not be here today without it.
There you go.
And it's another tool in my toolbox, and sometimes it's a hindrance. And we're never opposed to people who've done it in the past.
Sure,
I think the problem is that there were some people who just kind of push it. Like the insurance companies now, it's like they just approve people now. It's like a quick, easy way out without really discussing options. I think some people do it responsibly. Like even when we would watch like My 600-Pound Life, right? Like Dr. Now tries to do it responsibly. Like, okay, before we do this, I need to see you make some effort. And I know we've talked to Dr. Sybis, who is a
bariatric surgeon.
And he was like, sometimes it is the only way out for people, but we need to at least educate on other things as well.
Sure.
You know, but I appreciate, if you never had that jump before, you may not have survived to be where you're at now.
Oh, absolutely. But I do think, and I appreciate you saying that, Trish, that it's like, it's a tool, and it's worked as a tool, but it's also a hindrance. And I think sometimes that is, people are not explained to enough like what your life is going to look like on the other side of this surgery. Lots of pros, perhaps, at the time, but there are cons. And I think sometimes they minimize how your system is going to run after you've had this, and what are some of the challenges that you're going to have. This is going to guarantee that you have 50 more years, but what are those 50 more years going to have to be done so much differently on the other side of the surgery?
Tony said that she's stopping at Buc-ee's today for brisket while they go camping for a few days. Okay, highly recommend get your brisket. It's delicious. But get the Texas cheesesteak burrito. Scrape out the inside and throw out the burrito. Trust me, you'll thank me later.
Tony has some very specific things that she may not be able to eat.
I'm just saying.
But if you do not have an issue, I don't know if she can eat peppers and onions, but that's the thing. But the brisket at Buc-ee's, in order to get it not sauced, it has to be sliced. That is a challenge. I wish that they
don't do it before noon.
I was talking to Stephanie, Exposing Darkness, when we were in Indiana, and she was like, it's so frustrating sometimes. I wish they would just serve the chopped also. Yeah. Because sometimes I could just buy the sandwich with no barbecue sauce on it and just take off the bun. That would be super easy. We were also talking about back to, a couple of years ago when we interviewed Carnivore Werewolf as a trucker. I think he had a fantastic idea that gas stations and even, little, fast dining restaurants need to serve loose meat. They need to serve just the guts.
Roseanne.
Roseanne. She had the loose meat sandwiches, or just ground beef cooked up, or things you would have for a Philly cheesesteak, but just the guts. That would be just so smart, right?
Lynn said, I'm jealous of the Alaskan cruisers. Sorry.
Oh.
Bonnie said the Alaskan cruise is going to be our first cruise. You picked a good one.
Yay!
John said, heck no, Mountain Dew and Pixie 6 for a toddler. That's insane. Sugar and caffeine. They don't need caffeine. They're already little energy balls without sugar or caffeine. Oh, no. The Mountain Dew and Pixie 6, that was a very small portion of it. Like, there were episodes where they were giving them, like, for those of you who remember, but I don't even know where they were finding it, like Jolt Cola. Like, do you remember Jolt Cola? Like, but they literally called it go-go juice. Like, and they would, like, right before these girls go on stage, they sugar them up to get them to smile and do this. And then, like, literally within an hour,
crash.
You see these kids just crashed out or having temper tantrums. And that's what we're doing to our youth.
That's hard, and how frustrated they must feel.
Andy wanted to know if Chris and Miriam are going on the cruise. Andrew said sugary is a great tool, but if you don't change the other factors, surgery, right back. Absolutely. That's why. Larry said I-24. Yes, okay, maybe right off of I-24 because you're going I-24. It said I-24, Nickajack Lake, part of the Tennessee State Park system. Okay, got to remember that so we can book there. John said the problem is almost nobody knows a better solution than the surgery for people
you just want to say sugary.
Who need to lose weight ASAP. I know nobody mentioned keto or carnivore as an alternative to weight loss.
Sure, I mean, again, how many doctor's appointments?
You need more doctors like Dr. Sivas.
How many doctor's appointments did I go to for just so many, like, health issues? No one even asked me what I was eating. They never asked.
No.
I mean, they would make sure, like, because I was on so much, like, mental medication, they would talk about your alcohol consumption, which at the time was 0 because I'm on all of these medicines. But no one ever asked me what they would ask on my first doctor's appointment with Tabitha. You take a dog into the vet, the first thing they say is, what is this animal eating? Right? To just make sure that there's not something that they could catch at the nutrition level. But no, it was never talked to me.
Carrie's going to be on the low-carb cruise.
Yay!
So Trish, here, she said, yes, I had to lose weight before the surgery. That's a responsible doctor. But keto was never suggested to me. What a difference I could have made. I mean, you think about if you had a doctor like Dr. Sivas that said, okay,
nutrition is going to be very important.
Before we do this weight loss surgery, I need you to lose 40 pounds. And he introduces you to a ketogenic way of eating, and then in that first month or so, you lose 25 pounds. Is there any chance that you just like, well, crap,
maybe I can do this.
Maybe I can do this without this invasive surgery that's going to permanently disfigure me for the rest of my life. Would you at least try? Even
if that is not the thing, even if you're absolutely moving forward with the surgery.
But I think a lot of people would try.
I think that you have already gotten used to your recovery from the surgery already involves making nutrition of utmost importance, not just what can I eat, eating something and the amount. You're not so fixated on, well, there's a lot of stuff you can't eat, or like the amount wise, you can't have a lot of girth, but the focus would be nutrition. Like, you need to get in nutrients. It's going to be harder for you to be able to get in the right amount of nutrients. And so we have to lead with nutrient density. I think that at the very least, it's pursuing nutrient density.
Yeah, because even if, okay, so let's say the doctor introduces you to keto and says, I need you to do this for a month or 2 months before we do the surgery to see, like, your willingness to do what it takes. Then we're going to do the surgery, and you decide after 2 months, like, I still want the surgery. The best form of eating lifestyle after the surgery is back onto a ketogenic carnivore lifestyle.
Yeah.
Unless they're giving you sugar drinks, because, like, I know Dr. Sivas said, it's like a lot of them will just give you sugary protein shake, which is why you started using Keto Chow.
Yeah.
And, but generally the recommended diet after a weight loss surgery is to eat a protein-rich, low-carbohydrate diet. So it's setting you up, like if you started beforehand, it's setting you up for success afterwards instead of just eating whatever.
Yeah.
So Bonnie said, I was fortunate that my PCP directed me to a low-carb diet to avoid medication for type 2 diabetes. That was in 2016. I've never looked back.
I'm so glad.
It's awesome to see that more and more doctors are going that way.
Isn't that encouraging?
Andrea said, I had a boss that had the surgery and joined the
Question Ounce
Club. They could eat so many jelly beans to be okay.
Right. Yeah.
Debbie said, anybody know what the deal is with the crowns and numbers on some of the names? So, I guess this is something new that YouTube has started. Is like
the more
you are active in the chat during
yeah.
the live stream, you have the top 3 positions. So it constantly changes. The more active are you, get a crown. Basically, yay, you're the most active. It's like Rachel's blue dot thing.
I need my blue dot.
Evelyn said Jolt was bad, but all of these energy drinks are worse, especially when they're loaded with sugars.
And again, even if you're using like an energy drink, you're not handing it to a kid.
Yeah.
Right? You're just not going to hand it to a baby.
Bonnie said, I eat an insulin smart way of eating. I can't imagine the ramifications of eating pure sugar. I don't.
Not bueno.
Let's see.
Larry's going to be on the low carb cruise. I can't wait to see
Karen said,
it.
I had a hip replacement and my doctor suggested I do carnivore and I was already doing keto and he wanted me to get more fat and protein in before the surgery. Made me recover. My recovery was so smooth.
That is so awesome. I love that. I mean, and we see that too with any surgery. It's not even like a bariatric surgery. We've seen people with knee replacements, hip replacements, that it helps with recovery. Why? Because nutrition, right? Like you need that for recovery no matter what you're doing. We've talked to people who've had tonsillectomies and like recovered quicker and been better.
Yeah. Okay, we are going to get off and probably go take a nap.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of driving.
3,000
20 somewhat hours of driving.
We're ready.
1,280 miles since Saturday morning, so I think I'm going to take a nap.
I think that's a great idea.
We'll get some videos up later on the week. Guys, don't forget Wednesday, Rachel will do her live stream in the Meathead groups. If you're not a member, go join Mighty Networks, members.twocrazyketos.com. Thanks, guys.
We love you.
Bye.